There is a particular kind of exhaustion that has nothing to do with sleep. You wake up, and before your feet even touch the floor, something heavy is already sitting on your chest. You go through the motions, the coffee, the routine, the scrolling, but inside, there is a silence that feels too loud. Not the peaceful kind, the hollow kind. And the strangest part? You cannot explain it to anyone because from the outside, your life looks completely fine. But here is what nobody tells you. That quiet sadness, that leaking energy, that sense of carrying something invisible, it is not weakness. It is a signal. A signal most people completely misread. And if you have been pushing through it, suppressing it, or quietly blaming yourself for feeling this way, what you are about to hear will reframe everything you think you know about yourself. Because the Stoics understood something about low energy and inner weight that modern psychology is only now beginning to confirm. In this video, we are going through 7 Stoic lessons, specifically for the moments when sadness creeps in without warning, energy disappears without reason. These are not motivational quotes. These are ancient psychological tools, tested by men who faced war, exile, grief, and loss, and still found clarity. If this kind of content speaks to something real in you, consider subscribing to Anonymous Achiever, because we go deeper here than most channels are willing to go. Stay until the final lesson. It alone will shift something inside you. Lesson 1. Your sadness is not a malfunction. There are mornings when you feel sad and you do not even know why. No event triggered it. Nothing dramatically went wrong. And yet there it is, a gray heaviness that follows you from room to room like a shadow with no source. Most people, when they feel this, immediately ask themselves, what is wrong with me? And that question, that single question, might be the most quietly damaging thing you direct at yourself, because it turns sadness into shame. And shame is far more corrosive than sadness ever was. The Stoics never pathologized inner weather. They observed it. They named it. And then they worked with it, not against it. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, not for the world, just for himself, words that reveal something important. Even the Emperor of Rome had dark mornings. He was writing to himself because he needed to. Power does not protect you from this. Modern psychology now calls it emotional invalidation. When we reject what we feel, we actually extend it. The feeling does not leave. It goes underground. And underground feelings shape decisions in ways we never consciously trace. Stop diagnosing your sadness. Start acknowledging it. Say internally, this is here. I see it. It is not me. But here is the dangerous part. Most people never do this. And the reason why reveals something unexpected about energy itself. Have you ever noticed how much energy you spend fighting feelings that simply wanted to be seen? Lesson 2. Low energy is often misdirected attention. You have probably noticed this. The days when you feel most drained are rarely the days you physically did the most. In fact, the emptiest, most purposeless days are often the most exhausting. You did not run a marathon. You did not carry heavy things. But your mind did something far more costly. It moved between regret and worry, like a pendulum that never stops swinging and never arrives anywhere. And that pendulum drains something far deeper than physical energy. The Stoics called it the hegemonikon, your ruling faculty, your inner command center. And they believed protecting it was the primary responsibility of a disciplined life. Epictetus, who was once a slave, a man who owned literally nothing, said this: "Seek not that the things which happen should happen as you wish, but wish the things which happen to be as they are." That sounds passive. It is not. It is the most radical form of energy conservation ever taught. Psychologists today call the mental cost of unresolved, internal conflict cognitive load. And chronic cognitive load mimics physical exhaustion, brain fog, low motivation, emotional flatness that feels permanent but is not. Identify the one thing your mind keeps circling that it has no actual control over. Name it out loud. Then consciously release your grip on it, just for today. But the real problem goes deeper than attention. And the next lesson reveals a weight most people do not even know they are carrying. Are you exhausting yourself mentally without realizing it? Lesson 3. You are carrying weight. That was never yours. Here is something most people never realize. A significant portion of the emotional heaviness you carry is not even yours. It was handed to you, slowly, quietly, through years of absorbing other people's expectations, fears, comparisons, and silent disappointments. You were told, directly or indirectly, what you should be, how fast you should arrive there, and how you should feel about where you currently stand. And somewhere along the way, you internalized all of it as personal failure. The Stoics called this living according to external impressions, mistaking what others project onto us for what is actually true about us. These are two completely different things, and most people never separate them. Seneca wrote, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power, but how many of us truly live that?" How long have you been measuring your worth through someone else's lens, someone else's timeline, someone else's idea of success? Psychologists call this introjected values, beliefs absorbed from our environment that now feel like our own, but are not. They sit in the nervous system like foreign code, running quiet loops that drain self-worth without any visible cause. Ask yourself honestly, of the things I feel bad about today, how many reflect my actual values versus inherited expectations? The answer will surprise you. Most people never take this inventory, and that avoidance has a consequence no one warns you about. How long have you carried a weight that was never truly yours to hold? Lesson 4. Stillness is not laziness. IT is intelligence. When you are low on energy and the world keeps demanding momentum, something dangerous begins to happen inside. You start to feel guilty for resting. You watch others moving, posting, building, achieving, and your stillness starts to feel like personal failure, like you are falling behind, like you are quietly becoming someone smaller. And so you push. You perform activity even when there's no real energy behind it. And that performance costs more than genuine rest ever would. The Stoics believed that purposeless action is worse than stillness. Movement without intention does not build anything. It only burns what remains. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." Beginning to live does not mean beginning to do more. It means beginning to act from a centered, honest, grounded place. Stillness that restores is not avoidance, it is preparation. Psychologically, this maps onto what researchers call active recovery, the state in which the nervous system recalibrates, emotional processing occurs, and genuine motivation rebuilds itself from the inside. Pushing through chronic low energy without stillness is like driving on an empty tank and blaming the road. Give yourself 1 hour today without productivity. Not sleep, not distraction. Deliberate, intentional stillness. Observe what surfaces. And this changes everything, because what surfaces in real stillness reveals what no amount of busyness ever will. What is your stillness trying to tell you that your constant motion keeps interrupting? Lesson 5. The identity you are protecting is draining. There is a version of you that you have been quietly protecting. An image, a story you tell others and yourself. I am strong. I do not need help. I handle things. I do not fall apart. And that story, as noble as it sounds, carries a hidden cost. Because maintaining an identity requires energy. Enormous, invisible, continuous energy. Every time you feel sad, but perform being fine, you pay a psychological tax. Every time you push through instead of pausing honestly, the identity collects its toll. And most people never question this because the identity feels like survival. But Epictetus drew a hard, clear line. between what is up to us and what is not up to us, your reputation, your image, how others perceive you. These are external. They are not in your control. And yet, how many of your daily choices are made entirely to manage exactly those things? Epictetus said, "Never say about anything, 'I have lost it, but I have returned it.'" This was about possessions, but the principle extends to identity. What if the self-image you are protecting was never really yours to own? Research on ego depletion shows that self-regulation, the constant management of how we appear to others, consumes measurable cognitive and emotional resources. The more rigid the identity you maintain, the less energy remains for actual living. Practice radical honesty with yourself, privately, without an audience. Not to fix anything, just to acknowledge where the real you diverges from the projected one. Most people never take this inventory, have you? What would you feel if you stopped performing strength for just one honest day? Lesson 6. Meaning is the only sustainable fuel. You have probably had this experience. A day where, despite genuine tiredness, you felt strangely alive. Maybe you were creating something real. Maybe you were helping someone deeply. Maybe you were working towards something that mattered in a way your usual routine simply does not. And even exhausted, energy appeared from somewhere unexpected. That is not luck. That is what happens when a human being is living in alignment with what genuinely matters to them. The Stoics called it living according to your logos, your inner reason, your nature. And they believed that departing from it was the root of most human suffering. Not external tragedy, internal misalignment. Seneca wrote something that should sit with every person feeling depleted. He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. Purpose is not a luxury. It is metabolic. And the absence of it creates a very specific kind of fatigue, existential. A flatness. A going through the motions numbness that no amount of sleep resolves. Psychologists now recognize this as existential fatigue. Depletion that comes not from overwork, but from undermeaning. It is the tiredness of a life, not yet aligned with what the person internally knows actually matters. Do not search for your grand purpose today. Simply identify one thing, however small, that feels genuinely meaningful to you. Do it for 20 minutes. No audience, no reward. And this changes everything, because meaning does not wait for motivation. It creates it. What were you doing the last time you completely forgot to check the time? Lesson 7. Returning to yourself is the only real recovery. Everything else in this video matters. But this lesson is the one most people resist most deeply. Because it requires something genuinely uncomfortable. It requires you to stop running from yourself. Not toward a better version. Not toward goals. Not toward self-improvement. Just toward yourself. As you currently are, incomplete, tired, confused, still present. And somewhere beneath all of that, still worthy of your own honest attention. The Stoics believed the inner world was not a place to escape. It was the only place true refuge existed. And most people spend their entire lives looking for stillness in places that cannot possibly contain it. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul, not in achievements, not in validation, not in fuller schedules or faster movement. The retreat is always inward." Psychologists call persistent self-avoidance emotional avoidance. And research consistently shows it amplifies anxiety, depression, and chronic low energy over time. The avoidance is always more costly than the feeling itself. Always sit with yourself for 10 minutes today. No phone, no music, no distraction. Just you. You may discover you are far better company than you have been led to believe. But here is the dangerous part. The things you avoid inside yourself do not disappear. They grow. They shape your choices from below, like roots pushing up through concrete, silently cracking everything above. How long has it been since you truly, honestly visited yourself? You came to this video feeling something. Maybe you could not name it exactly, but it brought you here. And that matters more than you know. Because the Stoics believe that awareness is always the first act of transformation. Not action, not discipline, awareness. The sadness you feel is not a verdict on who you are. The low energy is not your permanent state. These are signals from a deeper part of you, a part that knows something needs to shift in how you think, in what you carry, and in how you treat the inner world that nobody else sees. You are not broken. You are between versions of yourself. And that space, as uncomfortable and uncertain as it feels, is exactly where real change waits quietly. If this video reached something real in you, leave a single word in the comments right now describing how you feel. And if you are not subscribed yet, this is the moment. The retreat is always inward.